Yeah, well, doing this live, was going to do something else, but got dead tired. Well, why don't I just do it live? And found enough. Well, a comic book roundup provides previews, so I can talk about the comics that I read. And I'm always a week behind uh, any other review sites. But the main point is it's just what I've read. So that's what I'll do with this. So let's just get to it because I gotta go to bed. So finally, Absolute Superman arrived. Had Absolute Batman, and then Absolute Wonder Woman, and now Superman. So here, and I keep forgetting to approach this the way I do Sunday comics. I can't do it in its entirety because these are not public domain. So that's the deal. But I can read the preview pages, which are there to advertise the title, and you can decide with whether or not you want to pick this up and that sort of thing. So there's the cover. The cape does not come into play in this issue, but I take it's some sort of weird nano bot type material where it just sort of floats around him like a cloud. Yeah. Well, anyway, here we go. Sorry, it's gonna do that. I'm used to my other means by what you're doing. Anyway, years ago, 9 million light years from Earth, the planet Krypton was ruled by its cities. So I guess like Coruscant and Star Wars, So there you go. Oh, look, it's nothing but city, but it's looking more like apocalypse. All that's belching out clouds and everything. And they're a class, society. So the sprawling centers of advanced science and ancient law, like Kandor, with its lab-grown gardens and lava-powered energy plants, and its supercapacitors the size of skyscrapers, made entirely of sunstone crystal. In the cities worked the clerics of the Science League, harnessing the energies of the red sun and the planet itself to fuel their insatiable hunger for progress at all costs. They were the Kryptonian ruling class. Yes. Yes. Well, meanwhile, all out in farm country, rain's late. Oh, is it? Yeah. You're going to let me... There we go. Yeah, the sky department must be having trouble maintaining cloud systems with all these gem storms. They say the one near Zan's been blowing for 40 days, hailing sapphires the size of your fist. Krypton's always been a tough old ball of sunbeat grit, especially out here, but I swear these days it's like there's something wrong with the dirt. My farm really needs that rain. And at first you think, good Lord, is this Jor-El? But no, there's a reason why that S-shield is around. This is a very different Krypton from the one you perhaps knew. Clerics charged me for an early morning downpour, but I haven't seen so much as a drizzle. You know how it is with the Science League. The science always takes a bit longer when it's for the Redlands. That's how science works. I'm sure they got all the rain they need in Candor and Argo today because, you know, they're the uppity-uppities, right? They're the aristocracy, see? Are you getting the message? Damn if you didn't just, damn if you didn't just say a mouthful. Rain bill's gone up too. Was almost 3,000 crim this month. 3,000? That's obscene. I could build I could build your own cloud seeders for that. Boy, this isn't working out, is it? Now, sure, and when you get locked up for illegal sciencing, who's going to fix my harvester? You're the only mechanic around here who's been able to keep this old girl running. She's a classic from the days when things like her were still made by somebody's hand. See if you could fire her up. You're a lifesaver, Lara L. What do I owe you? And don't say nothing. How about a basket of crawberries? Those are still George's favorite, aren't they? He's going under today. Yeah? Well, he must have gone under 1,000 times by now, right? 3,475. So how come this time my guts are twisted in knots? Oh boy, she's worried because the mines have become very dangerous. Well, it's Krypton. You can figure out as to why. Looks like your rain finally showed up. About damn time. Come on, let's get inside before we get drenched. Larry, what are you doing? You paid a lot of crim for this rain. Don't you want to get your money's worth? In school, my mother, Lara Lorvan, was an exemplary student. Destined for great things, everyone said, until she wrote an essay criticizing Krypton's lack of funding for interstellar exploration. For this, she was labeled unruly and forbidden from ever applying to the Science Academy. She was 9 years old. She wanted to be an astronaut. Yeah, life isn't fair on Krypton. Well, basically that's it. Superman will be this class struggle. Of course, Krypton blows up, so he ends up on Earth, but he's got to fight the man. And turns out Lois Lane is not an intrepid reporter, but an agent of the man, putting down the masses. Of course, this is, a darker universe and everything because, I don't know, Darkseid infected it or whatever. So essentially, continuing on with this, Elseworlds take on DC heroes, but in an ongoing series, and that's essentially the approach to their version of an ultimate universe like Marvel did. And they've had several attempts at this, and this is this one. Of the three titles so far, this is the weakest one. The art is fantastic, I think you got to see there. But beyond that, it's not coming across so great. The Absolute Batman is a more fun read. Wonder Woman is actually the more interesting of the three. Still delving into mythology and whatnot, and especially that scene where Wonder Woman, the baby Wonder Woman, strangles the snake. Stole that from Hercules, but still, it's fitting within the narrative of her coming from Amazons and so on and so forth. So, of the three, that's the most interesting one, and Batman is a bit more fun. Wonder Woman, the art is kind of the weakest of the three. But Superman, this is a bad start. But maybe it'll pick up later. But he really needs a haircut. That just doesn't work at all. So anyway, that's Superman. So what about the real Superman? Well, that's over in the the original universe with Action Comics. Mon-El strikes back. So you got a fairly okay story here of Superman going into the Phantom Zone because, well, there's something wrong in there. So, oh, wait. Is this? Oh, he's telling the story. Yeah. According to legend, my father, among his many other accomplishments, revolutionized the Kryptonian penal system. In his day, criminals deemed too dangerous for mere incarceration were rocketed into the depths of space. It was Jor-El who, searching for an arguably more humane prison, discovered the Phantom Zone. I don't know the specifics, but he invented a way to project convicts into a neighboring dimension, a void in which they would be held until release. Existing only as immaterial race, able to witness the living world, but unable to interact with it. So essentially, like ghosts. Yeah. On the one hand, the zoners were there inadvertently spared dying along with Krypton. On yet the other hand, being condemned to a realm with no physical or mental stimulus is a horrific, potentially mind-rending fate. That's why I've always used the Phantom Zone projector sparingly, only as a last resort against threats I couldn't otherwise defeat. The Kryptonians were a good people, but science was their religion. Unfortunately, it sometimes overrode their sense of empathy. Even so, an argument must be made that the zone enforcers, man, if only I could remember, because my vision is so bad, I can't. Nah, that's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to have to do it this way. Even so, an argument must have been made that the zone borders on being cruel and unusual. Was my father really so cold as to dismiss that notion as irrelevant? Oh no, was Jor-El a bastard? Well, I guess we'll find out in this story. But first, back to the Phantom Zone. Our ship, the Valcon, continues its voyage toward Aetheropolis and whatever lies there. Well, Aether, which is an old character from bygone DC Comics era of Phantom Zone lore. The closer we come to imminent danger, the harder my old friend Mon-El has to work to contain his crew. Regardless of how solid they've become, zoners don't require sleep or rest. Their metabolisms stay in stasis, which is why the fatal poison in Mon-El's blood stays inert. Yeah, Mon-El had this poison in him, and he would have died if he left the zone, so he had to stay there. And Superman, was always saying, hey, I'll find a cure and get you out. He never did, and he had to wait till the 30th century for the Legion of Superheroes to get him out. Yeah. Oh, well. But that gives the crew nothing else to do with their spare moments but go at one another. No, not like that. Mon-El's challenges are exacerbated by the fact that not one of his crew is happy to be hosting the son of the man who imprisoned them. I offer again to abandon ship and take flight on my own, but Mon-El points out, rightfully, that my solar battery bands are already more than half depleted. So in last issue, he had to develop these solar battery bracelets that maintains his superpowers within the zone, but they're running out of energy. So, you think he'll run out? Huh? When we first met, Mon-El was kind and playful. That didn't serve him well in the zone. However, he rose to command it. It toughened him. sometimes to the point of unrecognizability. Still, somehow, he seems to have maintained a core of decency that sets him apart from all others here. To prove the so prone to violence and brutality, whoever or whatever this Aether is, he seized control of the zone and done what all textbook sadists do with their prisoners. He's dehumanized them through fear and torture, taught them to abandon moral restraint by showing them none. Well, as you said it, Monhel's the only nice guy in the bunch. The rest of them are psychotics. And so Aether really didn't need to bother. They were already there. So anyway, turn them against each other rather than against him. Yeah, well. We're crossing the final threshold. What do you suppose we'll find? Someone unaware of the preparations you and I have made. We should be ready for most anything. Hard starboard man, fire and woo. So another one of these weird ships with these sickly eyeballs in it. Yeah. So there you go. They're going to have a battle and all that stuff. It's all right. It's a callback to the earlier Superman stories of exploring the Phantom Zone and stuff, but a different and, dare I say, new take on it. Well, next issue, the last battle didn't go well, and Superman ended up being sucked into the past, and guess where he ends up? Well, yeah, back on Krypton, and meets his parents. Again, another throwback to old Superman stories where this sort of thing would happen. He would go in the past, meet his parents, all that type of stuff, So anyway, he was trying to get back to Earth. There were, portals all over the place out of the zone, but it was scattered throughout time to where he could have gotten back to Earth. But he went through the wrong hole, I guess. Ended up on Krypton. Red sun, don't panic. Okay, the sunlight's a bit dimmer than I'm used to, but I can see where I am. What's more important is to find out when I am. That involves adopting, if you will, a secret identity out of caution. Like many citizens here, I'm wearing my family crest on my chest. And at least until I know what's going on, my gut tells me that I should keep a low profile. So he makes a fashion statement with his cape and wraps it around so you can't see the S, It's a good thing he didn't land in the absolute universe, because otherwise the S would mean servant, not hope. Yeah. So, that's look, it's the best he could do on short notice. Among the people of Krypton. So there you go. He's in Krypton walking around. Yeah. What is he wearing? Yeah. Well, the thing about Krypton, and this was long established in Superman stories. Hey, why does Superman wear that suit? Because that's the way Kryptonians dressed. And then, since he was the first superhero, all the superheroes figure they got to wear tights too. Yeah. He didn't ask them to do it. And they just did it, Oh, well, anyway, he's still walking through the streets and all that. Hey, look at all this stuff. What I know about Krypton comes largely from my visits to its sole surviving city, Kandor. Sir, excuse me. I know this may sound odd, but can you tell me today's date? Before its explosion, it was a paradise of intellect and invention. Krang. Oh, no. But even here, not all inventions work flawlessly. Look out! Flump. And, I don't know, some drone almost got this guy. And Superman's still a hero. God, that hurts! Remember, he doesn't have any powers, and he's not used to bruises and stuff, Relax, friend. There's a medicine on the corner. They'll mend you up without even a scar. Thank you for saving me. I owe you my life. Okay, so earthquakes are happening. Uh-oh, you know what that means? Yeah, he doesn't have long before the planet blows up. Sir, how common are these groundquakes? I'm in trouble. So there you go. That's the problem he's in. But yes, he does meet Jor-El. And you get more of the story of, hey, was Jor-El perfectly fine with the Phantom Zone and all that, despite the problems you could have with cruelty and what have you? Well, no, he wasn't. So, hey, Superman finds out Dad was a nice guy after all. So isn't that nice? And then eventually he's got to somehow, some way get back to Earth, which, you know, he will. But he's going to have this little adventure with Jor-El and whatnot. And like I said, it's a callback to, DC Superman stories of yesteryear, which it's not a bad call. You know, it's all right. I wasn't blown away by it or anything, but, you know, it's fine. Meanwhile, Batman, The Long Halloween, actual title, this is the actual title. This is like the third, well, I guess fourth if you count the Catwoman story in this Long Halloween narrative that Jeff Loeb did with Tim Sale, who sadly passed away. So now it's different artists working on it. But it should be called The Last. That's the title, and it's shrunk down to the bottom. Anyway, with the cover of Tim Sale's work, obviously, but this time Klaus Janson is doing the work. Nothing against Klaus, but I would have thought they should have kept Eduardo Risso just doing the whole book. He really, he's a total, different styling from Tim Sale, but he has that ability of emphasizing the shadow work and whatnot that fit. But for what it is, it's all right. November, it is cold and it is damp. It weighs like a ton. Hey, remember that time we threw Mickey Gazzo and his brother out here for Sal? Them were the days. Not the kind of night you want to be out in. You think it's true about what they say about this guy? He can come back from the dead, like one of them zombies. Like what? What are you, stupid? The only thing you ought to worry about coming way out here is winged creatures. I hate it when you call him that. Unless you were desperate, then nothing else matters. So there's Solomon Grundy. They're dumping him in the ocean. And since he's already dead, I don't see the point, but they don't understand that, so don't worry, he'll be fine. So meanwhile, we got Batman and Robin. They're going to Arkham Asylum. Instead of prison, some are sent here as the criminally insane men and women who the underworld refers to as freaks, drawing a line between two different kinds of evil. The only one that I only see the one. What are you get it anyway? Wow, I had no idea it was this big inside and no vacancy. Meaning? Just that we, and you of course, have done a really great job catching these insaniacs. People think my presence attracts these criminals to Gotham. That's crazy. It's like saying people get shot because cops carry guns. One thing's got nothing to do with the other. I know something you don't know, Robin. This is the first time I brought Robin here, so he can see for himself. What do you want, Calendar Man? Yes, there's a villain called Calendar Man. Strange, isn't it? How it's Batman, Calendar Man, but you're just Robin. Is that your goal in life? To be always seen as the boy wonder? No, because Robin, man, sounds stupid. And if you're such a genius, how come you haven't changed your calendar? It's already November the... It's starting again. I can't have that. I'm forgetting what this is. Don't you want to know the thing that will get him to see you as more of an equal? I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out later. On Halloween night, on Halloween night, a child was kidnapped. James Gordon Jr., son of Commissioner Jim Gordon, a man I trust. There has been no ransom note, no communication with whomever took the boy. Jarvis Tetch. I'm late. You once held young Barbara Gordon captive, dressed her up like Alice in Wonderland. The March Hare said, take some more tea. Alice replied, I've had nothing yet, so I can't take more. You mean you can't take less? It's very easy to take more than nothing. Desperate times lead to desperate measures. So he's got to beat the crap out of him and stuff like that and try to get some information. It doesn't really work out. But, I mean, he gets some information. It flows in with, the mystery, the serial killer holiday strikes once again. Who is it? We never really find out in the others, apparently, because now there's probably a new candidate. Whatever. Two faces lurking out there somewhere. So far, so good. The multiple artists is a bit jarring. I would have picked one and gone with it. But, yeah, it's not bad. It's okay. Meanwhile, the Justice Society reboots yet again. The art's all right. I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. I can't guarantee I'll be bothering with this for long. So once again, oh God, I keep forgetting. So once again, you got to be reintroduced. See, they fought in World War II. They were the first. And I do mean the very first. Everything you know, all your heroes sprang from them. They were born when we needed them most as the shadow of the Second World War grew wider and darker. These mystery men emerged. Some came from science, some from magic, and some just knew how to throw one hell of a left hook. Yeah. So there they are, except Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman aren't with them as it originally was, but, they messed everything up, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they started out as a small society. And then, they banged some chicks and had kids. But then soon grew into a squadron, and together they triumphed, bound together by history and fate. They had no idea how great their legacy would become. Soon a new generation would pick up the torch. There they are. See, the new generation beating up these guys. And eventually these generations would fight side by side more than just a great society. They were a family. Yet time can be cruel. Oh, yeah. Again, they disappeared. We thought forever this time. Wiped from memory and history. But we should have known. Yeah. Still introducing. They were born when we needed them most, and they would return when we needed them again. This is their absolute series. Never mind. If you didn't keep up with it all, this is just pointless. The art's great. It's fine. But it's convoluted and messed up. Put them back on Earth too and let them be their own thing, or not at all. That's the problem. A lot of complications. I'm not even going to bother going forward with it, but the art's good. It is. It's nice. But this is yet another reboot after they just concluded the previous one. So, yeah. So, boy, what a letdown all these mainstream titles are. So what do? Well, you go over to these independent ones. That's what you can do. And this is one of the good ones, Redcoat. Uh, uh, man, Dark Horse's preview. I can't zoom in on it, and I'm half blind. So I guess I won't be reading these, but the art is spectacular. But this one, it's issue 7 of Redcoat, and it's a rather quiet one. And basically, since he had adventures with young Albert Einstein, here he catches up with Einstein uh, at the end of Einstein's life. For whatever reason, he still wears his Redcoat uniform. Of course, it's in the title, so he has to. Of course, he's Simon Pure. He's immortal, and apparently he's shaved for the first time in over 100 years, and decided to go say goodbye to Albert Einstein. And so it's a quiet, sad story. He does refer to adventures he's had since and all that. I don't know if next issue they'll jump back in the time in between his adventure with young Einstein, and it seems to suggest that. So this takes place sometime in the 50s when Albert Einstein passed away, and the other adventures I'm sure will take place in between that. But again, he's immortal, and it's all a part of the overall Ghost Machine universe and that sort of thing. But despite being a quiet story, it's not bad. It's, kind of sad and all that, as he has to say goodbye to him and all that sort of stuff. And of course, the quintessential aspect of a roguish bastard with a heart of gold is what Redcoat delivers. And of course, the Brian Hitch art is immaculate. So there is that. Yes, there is. Meanwhile, over at Dark Horse, the other great independent artist working is Mark Millar. Here he returns to his Magic Order series, issue 2, where Cordelia got bamboozled by some nefarious sorcerers or what have you and put into a fake world. And it's fake, but it sets it up to where it's, she's still trapped in it. She's getting therapy, and he's telling her all this world of being a magician and all that stuff, or a wizard rather, was just all in your head. It's a fantasy you try to escape in to deal with your anxieties and all that sort of stuff. And it almost convinces her, but of course she breaks through. And say for a moment she's back and forth. This is the guys with the butterfly eyes bamboozled her, and it seems like she's been living in this other world for months now and all that stuff, but it's all in her head. It's not real. I think that's obvious from the get-go as it started out. But in this fantasy world, her parents are still alive and they're together and all that sort of stuff. So it's trying to give her the kind of thing she would have rather have happened, and then instead of the reality. But once again, it's all ripped away, and she gets rescued. Now, some of the things about this, could they have led it on to almost convince you that, oh boy, it's almost like a reboot or what have you, and everything that happened didn't happen or something of that nature, which would be really upsetting when you think about it. But it's already in the outset, it was this trap that she was put in. So it wasn't all that big of a whammy jammy thing. And it's seen that. So it's probably for the best that this element was a one and done thing within this issue rather than dragging it out for a couple of more. So it made its point and it's moving on. And unlike a lot of different writers, they stretch out an idea and pad it with filler because they got nothing. But Miller here, he tends to deliver. So here she is, and there's some other strange things, like suddenly the handcuffs appear on her, and he's telling her, oh, if you're such a great wizard, why can't you get out of the handcuffs or whatever? That sort of thing. But ultimately, she gets out of the mind trap that she's put into. So there you go, Magic Order. And as I am increasingly, not increasingly, it's a foregone conclusion. The independent stories are where it's at, and that's primarily right now Ghost Machine with Jeff Johns' endeavors, and Mark Miller with his titles, like this one. And then Conan the Barbarian over at Titan Comics. Those are your best reads. It is unfortunate for the big two. They really, DC delivers a little bit better now than Marvel, but it's few and far between. And apparently, Dan Slott will be taking over Superman. So once again, Superman will get shanked. This happened when they brought Brian Michael Bendis, and that time Dan Jurgens was doing an excellent job on Superman. It was getting really good, and then it was just burnt down. Now it's kind of okay and limping along, and that just doesn't sound good. Maybe Dan Slott will suddenly surprise everybody. I doubt it. Anyway, best bet, Mark Miller, Ghost Machine, stuff like that. And of course, Conan, which Conan the Barbarian right now is the absolute best of comic books to read today. And then, of course, there's the old stuff to catch up on. So there you go. Oh, boy, I completed all that. Don't you sleep? Not enough, but I'm about to. But I tried to get one of these out every Wednesday, you know. And sometimes when I can't make it, I'll throw one out and just change the title to Thursday Comics. But anyway, thanks for showing up whilst I did this live version of Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics. So thank you, Spheric Snakes. So I'm going to go to bed, and when I get up, I'll hop on Doomcock's Pop Culture Breakdown, which I think it was you, Spheric Snakes, that asked me about the thumbnails. I did get a message from Doomcock telling me the ideas about what the show will be about, so I was able to put one together, and so I sent it to him, so maybe he'll use that one. So there you go. Oh boy, everything is as it should be, I suppose. Ready watching, and I'll catch up with you at a later date.